everybody, my name is Judi. I'm the author of Palestine on a Plate. I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me at your event. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in the flesh. I had other commitments I had in London that I needed to be here for. I just wanted to introduce myself and my book, why I wrote it, and a little bit of history of myself and Palestine. I am Palestinian, born to Palestinian parents who were also born to Palestinian parents. They left Palestine in 1948 when the new state of Israel was created, and they were forced to flee their homes and begin a new life in Syria. My grandmothers were very positive about the conversations they had with their children about Palestine and their memories of it. It was never tainted with any horror or negativity. They wanted to always show the best side of this for them. And this is what my parents have passed on to myself and my brothers and sisters. We grew up in a very Palestinian home, learning about our history and that we were different to other countries, in particular at the time, because of what was happening with Israel and Palestine. And it became a very big conversation at home throughout our whole childhood, really right up until now. And I really was so proud to be Palestinian, even with all this turmoil in the background, because it just made me want to learn more about it and to share the story with other people. My book came about really because I was documenting all these conversations and recipes with my mother and aunties, all 20 of them, who would sit down and visit us and us them in Syria and Jordan and Lebanon to talk about things. And it was our way of remembering Palestine and stories that my grandmothers used to say when they used to live in particular areas in Yafa and Safad and Al-Lid and Ramallah. So it was such a great honor to be able to write this and share it with other people, to give a different narrative to Palestine for people who are now no longer with us, who don't have a voice to share this history with other people. So I'm very proud that my book was a possibility to write and publish, because getting the book out was quite a hard task, especially because of the title, having Palestine on the front cover. I was rejected by most publishers simply due to that fact that they felt it was quite a hot topic and they didn't know where Palestine was. Was there even a Palestine? Could I be Palestinian without a country on a map? And I came prepared to these meetings with historical maps that were changed after 1948, comments from biblical times and poets and artists to show that Palestine was a word used to describe this country for thousands of years. And even then it was quite difficult to get through until I met the publisher that I actually ended up working with. And she loved the idea, she loved the story, she loved the struggle, she loved the history and the connection that we have with our land, our produce as well, my grandmother's, everything about it was something that they wanted to work with me on. And I couldn't have been more pleased, because I in turn really liked them before I knew any of this. And I also found an American publisher who took me on at the same time, and it's been great working with these two people who have really helped push my story out there to really try to bring my vision of Palestine in a positive light to you and other people. It came about really because when I had my restaurant in London, there was not many other restaurants making specific foods to certain countries. They were very generalized, and there were lots of Middle Eastern restaurants opening at that time, and they were all in fact Israeli restaurants making food that for me are symbols of Palestine and national dishes of Palestine, things like matlube, sayadiyeh, sakhan, mansaf. I mean, the list is endless, and I was a little bit disturbed by this because, you know, these things are not just for nutrition and eating. It's actually connections with the historical past of a culture that is still alive, and I didn't want it to be appropriated in any fashion. And my reason for writing the book was really to reclaim these dishes, to show that there is a connection with the past, and it was something that I really wanted to come across, that there was and is a Palestine. These dishes were made by people thousands of years ago, and I hope that with all the publicity that the book has had, that people are educating themselves to know that before Israel, we ate these foods, we made these foods. They were foods that we cooked on a daily, weekly basis. I'm not naive to think that Palestinians only lived with Palestinians at all. That's not my point. I know that my grandmothers lived with Jews and Christians and other Muslims and other Arabs, but I think there has to be a line drawn somewhere where a culture cannot just be deleted, as it has been shown in geography. Our land has become smaller and smaller as the years go by, and our clothing has been taken over. Our keffiyeh is being worn as a national dress of Israel. Our food is being represented as Israeli, and I didn't want to feel that I was letting this narrative pass me by without trying to say something. I'm not a provocative person, but I think sometimes you have to right a wrong, and I wanted to correct this incorrect fact that these dishes are not Israeli food, and they are dishes with history, not just a 70-year-old history, a history of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So I feel very pleased that these possibilities have come about, that the book is literally all over the Middle East and the Far East, Australia, the US, Canada. It's traveling far and wide, even to people who know how to cook these dishes. They're buying the book out of support to bring it to the forefront, and allow for a new narrative to be told by us. This generation and the younger generation are more confident, a little bit louder, have a story to say. We all have a story that somebody wants to listen to, and I'm so pleased with the reaction that I'm getting from people and support, that they want to hear the story, whether it's just about food, but the food is something for a people. It's not just to eat, it's connection with the land, the spices and the herbs and the meat and the pomegranates and za'atar and summa and pomegranate molasses, the chilies and dates. These are all part of our life, and it's so intertwined with our food. So it's not just a dish, it's a dish that comes from the land, that is made by the people of an oppressed country. And I wanted to show the diversity and the beauty of our food without having it disappear into the background, and bringing Palestine onto a map, whether it's a culinary map or geographical map, is a win for me. I can't change the geography of things, but hopefully putting Palestine literally on a plate in many, many thousands of people's homes is something I could have only dreamed of at one point. And hopefully with people educating themselves a little bit more about us as a people, they can start to figure out things on their own, rather than hearing a narrative that's put on us by news, and let us have our own voice. I am a Palestinian before I'm a chef, and we have had so many amazing people coming from Palestine, musicians and artists, designers, who are making music and fashion as Palestinian people. They are Palestinian artists, Palestinian music, Palestinian creations, which I think is so important. And this is the new wave of things that's happening, is that it's not just what you do, but it's who you are and where you've come from. And I really do believe that you have to know where you've come from to know where you're going. And coming from this country has made me who I am today, and I couldn't be more proud. So I will be continuing what I'm doing, and hopefully with many more other things coming up in the near future, to really highlight our cause and our case, our food, and really bring to the forefront how many beautiful possibilities there are for amazing things to come from our country and our people, and to right the wrongs that are out there. So I just wanted to say thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure speaking to you. I'm sorry there was not enough time to talk more, and hopefully next year I will be there in the flesh with you all. Thank you.